On this week's episode of the Beer Fridge Podcast, we look at the latest beer news, we give you our brewery of the week, and we preview the Gravity Beer Festival.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hello and welcome to another weekly episode. As always, wherever you listen, make sure you subscribe, hit that ding-a-ling-a-ling and be notified of every single episode. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you do exactly the same. You can show your official support by going to patreon.com/beerfridgepodcast or your unofficial support. Give us a 5-star rating as well. My name is Gavin. I've got my usual drinking buddies in the form of Scott and Callum. Good evening, boys. How we doing?
Good evening, fuckers.
Good evening, fuckers.
Good eve. Excited.
Excited
Yes.
as well.
To be
We better
back in the
practice,
room.
haven't we?
Roost.
Oh, well, me anyway. For people, the usual listeners of the podcast, you won't have noticed, but we have had like 3 or 4 weeks off recording, which has
Yeah.
been weird. For the first time in 6 years, we've just not recorded for a few weeks.
As you can tell, I've put that whole time into my fitness regime. Svelte.
Indeed. As always, like we said, we are back in the building, so wherever you're listening or wherever you do, find us on social media. Make sure you like, follow, and share all our content as well. We are ramping up on YouTube, so if you're watching, you'll see a lot more production-wise. So if you're listening, head over to YouTube and check it out as well. Let's start off as we normally do.
Let's go around the table.
And I nearly spilled my fucking drink. And
Good,
find out
good
what we're
accent there,
drinking.
by the way.
That was good.
Good accent when you recorded that. You did quite well.
Not gonna lie, it's a wee AI number.
Was it? Sounds like
Meant-
you.
No.
It's meant to be
Does?
Harvey Specter, apparently.
Is
Oh,
it?
yes. I thought you were about to say Harvey Weinstein. I thought,
The wrong Harv. You've picked the wrong Harv.
Let's find out what we're drinking to kick things off. Callum, go for it, mate.
oh well, you know me. Always like to start nice and light, easy going, sessionable. I've picked up a bottle from the fridge, and it's the Van Steenberg Brewery in Belgium, and it's Golden Drac, so it's the Golden Dragon 9,000 quadruple. High fermentation, secondary fermentation in the bottle, and boasts 4 times the malt bill of their lager that they make, and coming in at a lovely 10.5%. This one. And after watching Johnny at the St Bernardus Brewery doing his pour, I've decided all these Belgian beers are getting drunk out of the big fishbowl goblets, and it really does make a difference. Get it all in there, get with the big head, it settles down, and it really softens the beer up. When you're drinking it, it takes all those kind of harsh, for the super high ABV stuff, it seems to take all the sort of harsh alcoholic notes away, and you're just left with the pure flavour of the beer. This one in particular, it's Belgian and it's big, so it's like you would expect loads of bananas and a slight spice, maybe some cloves, when you get your beak in the tumbler. And it's quite sweet, but really full-bodied, thick and creamy, and it's got a nice wee bitter edge at the end. It's absolutely stunning, this one of the many sort of specialty beers that I picked up at in that box, that all from the same brewery, just sort of different incarnations and different labels, if you like. But yeah, it's tremendous stuff.
Excellent.
Hard hitter to kick things off. Nice. Like it. I'm on a local brewery in the form of Gun, who are just down the road from me, and their New Zealand IPA called Town Clown, 5.3%, a part of their small batch 1066 series. And this has got Motueka Kuhatu hops, and it gives it's what you'd expect from a New Zealand style IPA, those white wine kind of Nelson vibes in there. Is also nice and dry, those tropical vibes, tropical fruits, kind of lychee and stuff coming through as well. 330ml can, so very much a smashing beer, a smashable beer, I should say, and also a smashing beer. Also, but I love it, and they do these little small batch beers every so often. They've got a new one or the latest one should be coming in next week, I think it is, from their fresh harvest of hops that they've got in last week, I think, or this week it comes. They do a seasonal beer, so looking forward to trying that as well. So if you haven't already, go and check out Gun Brewery. Really good beers, and if you're down this neck of the woods in the south coast, a really good tap room as well. Gilroy.
Yes, Gun, their 1066 series so named because their tap room and everybody there is quite rightly insured by Hastings Direct. Insurance 0800 00 1066. They got one of them.
Beer that
Right.
Harold and William just love to drink.
That's it. There's no archery on site at the tap room, which I think is a miss. But there we go.
It was suspended after that unfortunate incident, wasn't it? So,
I don't know, I've seen some acts
All
a
fun-
couple of weeks ago.
All fun and games till somebody loses an eye. Aye. I am on, so like my friend Callum, I've decided to go equally light to start things off. This has been burning a hole in my refrigerated pocket since we got the beer box, and when Callum jumped to the gun and went and had it on Saturday, it started the taste buds tingling almost immediately. So had to be my go-to when I went into the fridge this evening. It's Tartarus, so winding up the last few beers for our previous month's bruiser box, and it's a West Coast IPA called Demeter, who is god of all things harvest, I think. It's a West Coast IPA. It's 7.2%. It's got, as Callum, you mentioned just before we started recording, quite not an odd but a pretty unique hop bill. Why they've gone for a bit of Azaka and Eldorado in there to try and pick it up. Labelled as being pleasant or slightly better. I would say it's somewhere near palatable on the Mark Dixon scale. International bitter units are perfectly palatable. So we're sat pretty much there in terms of dankness. It's got that good bitterness in there. It's Azaka Sim Eldorado, so as I say, a bit of a unique cocktail, but it doesn't lack flavour nor colour. It's great. It's got that clarity that we're looking for, but it's got that dark amber colour. As you said on our text chat as well, Callum, if our venture into the West Coast IPA market is us, this is what in spades. I think we'll have hit the beef pretty spot on. It's
absolutely
excellent. If you get the chance to get it, definitely go and pick it up. Super.
Sounds good. You'll know in the podcast every so often we'll give you some news bits here and there. With the time that we've had away, we've decided that we're going to have a dedicated section dedicated to all things news in the world of craft beer. So let's get in.
News update.
Right then, news update from the world of craft beer. This is the chance where we're going to go around and give you some snippets from the news in the craft beer world. It could be new beers, it could be actual proper news in terms of what's happening within the industry. We're going to pick one each. I'm going to tell you a little snippet of what's going on in the craft beer world. Gilroy, do you want to kick us off?
I would love to kick us off. What one did I say? One of the myriad headlines did I say that I would talk about, Gavin?
I know.
Remind me.
You picked about 3.
I know, that's my problem. As usual.
Well, you go through and pick it. I think Callum's got one.
Oh.
yes, it has. And in typical fashion, I've kind of veered slightly, and not strictly speaking craft beer, but I would say craft beer adjacent.
No.
And that, how would you two feel if you could no longer buy a pint in a pub?
Oh, I've seen this.
I suppose
is this a change in? Is this a weights and measures question? Is it? Is this a? Oh,
I think it'd be horrific.
So there was a study. There's a study being done, and it was done with a view to establishing a sort of link between portion size and sort of obesity versus, so what they've done is they've went out and canvassed a load of pubs and managed to get some to sign up for this scheme where they trial the removal of pints. So they managed to get 12 pubs to sign up for this, and they swapped out pints for 2/3. And over the period, what they discovered was quite, I suppose, unsurprisingly, that when pints are unavailable, people drink less. So I could have probably done that without the study.
Okay.
But what they're claiming is that people go out and have a number of drinks. So the person who went out and drank 5 pints would still go out and drink 5 beers, but it would be 5 2/3 as opposed to 5 pints. And unsurprisingly, there's been somewhat of an uproar, particularly from our camera friends, at the death of the pint. But fear not, dear listener. I think that's certainly a long way off. They attempted this experiment, this study, pre-pandemic, and they couldn't get any pubs in the UK to sign up for this trial. And post-pandemic, they managed to get 13 pubs to sign up for it. One of them had to be disqualified because they continued to offer pints as well as the 2/3. They kind of fell at the first pub.
Is that the one Scottish pub on the list, was it?
Right. I had to laugh, because they were saying, the number of complaints decreased as the trial period went on, but we're unsure as to whether or not that means that people were less bothered by it, or whether they realised that it was for a finite amount of time and their pints were definitely coming back on, the 14th of July or whenever it fucking was. So yeah, I don't think there's any indication that pints are set to be killed off. But I thought it was quite interesting how frightened people got, and it got me thinking about how much of a part of our society the pint is. Wondered what your thoughts on that were.
You're never going to lose the pint. I think, especially for like our generation and our dads and that, no chance. Like the youngsters and that who are more into their, or are drinking more lower ABV stuff, like it might happen, but I think we'll be long gone before and when that happens. But come on, like you can't beat going into the pub and getting a pint, and surely bars and that, in terms of money wise. So if people are only, if you're drinking 5 pints compared to 5 2/3, that's going to be less money surely in the bars till, and they're not going to want that.
No, and they made it clear that when they reduced the serving size from pints to 2/3, they reduced their prices accordingly, so they weren't charging the same.
Can you imagine how upset you would be if somebody told you they would only serve you like Moretti in 2/3?
Yeah.
At a restaurant, maybe that would be the perfect serving size.
I had to laugh at one.
When you mentioned it, to get over the fact that I go into craft beer places and order 1/3 and 2/3 all the time. It took me a good minute to get there after you said, "What would you do if you didn't get pints anymore?" It was the kind of, because we were betwixt that kind of generation, or gap, I suppose, and came to craft beer after we had already started drinking. The outrage at the loss of a pint struck me, and then it took me a bit to go, well, you go into craft beer places every other weekend, Scott, and fucking order 2/3 all the time. So
yeah, I mean, I think the camera crowd have got the right ethos behind their pints, and that beer, the beer, particularly the beer that they like to drink, and obviously the beer that we like to drink is something that's to be savoured. But I had to laugh at this particular bit here. Beer is a long drink that lasts, not something to be tipped down your neck in a flash. Which I think is true for maybe about 4% of the pints that are sold in Britain.
It's
but I have to agree. And when you look along the lines of other countries, you know, the climate would lend to, you know, and like see your
Absolutely.
Mediterranean countries or
Aye.
whatever, or even America to a certain extent. The climate would link to a smaller portion size, smaller serving size, which is fine. And there doesn't seem to be any link to the amount of beer that you drink versus the size of the glass that you have it in.
No.
You know, Germany is the only country that offers a serving size bigger than a pint, and that's the
Mast.
big steins that you can get the litre, and they even then they're not all too common. I wouldn't have thought, but I thought it was a really interesting story, and quite an interesting discussion about sort of your culture and about how, you know, the idea of coming to Britain and sitting in a pub and having a pint is something, you know, that tourists might long for that authentic British experience.
Well, if you look at I know you're ready to come in, Gav. The Australian drinking experience, I've never been. Much to my credit, I would like to add. Sorry for any Australian listeners, but I'm sure their normal drinking habits involves, they call them schooners.
Well, it's 3/4 of a
It's
pint.
normally
Mentions
about
that.
3/4. So
Mentions that in the article, and even
theirs
in
is less than
America.
pints, so.
Even in America, I mean, obviously they've got the fucking imperial system, so their large beer is a 16-ounce beer, but our pint is 20 ounces. So even the biggest size that you would get in America is still less than what we would typically drink. But the article goes on at length about how British beer is quite weak and by nature, and our sort of key percentages are sort of between 3.5 and 4.5.
Aye.
Our pints sit perfectly in there.
Everybody who reads to the end of the article is desperate for a pint.
Aye.
By the end.
It's funny that I read that article and I've spoken about it now for the last 5 minutes and felt the need to open the 10.5% Belgian beer. Unfortunately, I didn't have a pint yet to hand, just 330 mils.
Cask stuff and that, like, you're not going to have cask and a
2/3 tumbler.
You want it in a pint tumbler.
Although I would like to see a stippled, is that the correct phrase? The kind of dimpled glass in a 2/3 variety. I've got a wee half of one. I've now got, obviously, our Budvar kind of proper glasses, if you like. I've got a mass somewhere, a litre. You can tell I've been reading Oktoberfest related articles that I know what the tumbler's called. I'm just adding it in all the time now, just so that people think I know things. But you've got that size tumbler. What I would like the dimpled 2/3. That would be quite cool to have, but only as a novelty item. And it would need to be a cask beer that was like absolute lightning, for me to kind of bow down to 2/3 only.
I think I've got one.
It would need to be pretty severe.
Indeed. For myself, massive advocate of Overtone. Overtone have just released the Overtone playlist box. So if you weren't able to get down to their playlist event, which was on the 14th of this month, all the beers are going to be available in a mixed box from overtonebrewing.com. Price is 40 quid. The beers you're going to get in there, some of them are collabs. You're looking at Driving South, a 6% New Zealand IPA in collaboration with Flock, Iron Sky, triple IPA at 10% with Cloudwater. Fucking yes.
That was shit.
All of that.
If you get the box, just send that beer to me. You'll know like it.
No like it. And then you've got a classic. This for me just sounds like an absolute classic in terms of Overtone beers. It's called Pure Magic. It's a double dry hop, double IPA, 8.4%. It's not in collaboration with anybody. It's just theirs straight up. So I'm expecting massive Overtone vibes from that beer itself. And you get a couple other beers in there. In total, you get 6 beers. Vault City collaboration, Flock, Cloudwater, and Imperium as well. You get 2 little glasses in there also. So go and check it out, overtonebrewing.com. Well worth a purchase. Full enough, I'll be buying it tomorrow. So looking forward to getting all of those because they sound fucking brilliant. Gilroy,
Tremendous.
finish us off.
Right. So you might remember, this is the one I'm going to go with. You might remember that back a good few pods ago, we mentioned or tried our best to help advertise and thought about it, but never followed through on. I think that's the beer fridge mantle. At the moment, anyway, the Aldi official beer tester job that was running. They were looking for candidates to be their official beer taster, if you like, and they've finally picked somebody. And despite best efforts, it's not really, or what I thought was going to be their ideal candidate. It's not a professional drinker. It's actually a scientist, so a biomedical scientist, by the name of Christine Mitchell, has beat out hundreds of applicants to be appointed to the role. Looking up immediately, reading the article in the Beer Guild, is that the kind of in the plus section, which is massive. I think she's obviously knows our way around a lab, which we've talked about beer being quite a hefty portion of science in there, which is great. She enjoys a Rheinbacher Weiss beer.
Oh,
was their go-to within the first two paragraphs of the article. Rheinbacher Weiss beer, which is obviously a beer fridge favourite in the kind of beer selection. If you're going into a supermarket to grab one, we can never go past that, particularly when it's on offer. However, so that's all very promising. She's got a massive enthusiasm for beer. Apparently, the beer that Aldi offer takes her to her happy place, which is awesome. Which great, carry on, keep tasting. But some of the absolute dross that they've had her taste in her first run it has me filled with absolute fear.
Oh no!
Taking up the absolute premiere on that list is a beer called Grande, which I'm pretty positive you can guess is a Spanish lager. Spanish is not in quote in ellipses and kind of quote marks, air quotes or whatever, but it is. Apparently, it's a classic done right. Pale amber in colour with sweet and crisp notes on the beak. This lager has subtle sweetness with pleasant bitterness.
Is it brewed anywhere near Spain or?
No, I think it's probably brewed right next door to where fucking the other guff is made. Madrid. They also had her trying San Marcos, which we all know is a nonsense.
Just sad beer, isn't it? It just makes you sad.
They've had two. They've got both an East Coast IPA. Have you ever heard of an East Coast? I'm sure it was just New England, was it? Was it not? New England's the style, but we've got an East Coast IPA at 179 called Mystic River, which is dry but smooth.
I thought it was going to be Mystic, the fucking flavour.
A lingering banana and cereal aftertaste, exactly what you're looking for in a New England IPA. Absolutely not.
Well, it's not New England; it's East Coast.
East Coast,
maybe taste like East Coast Maine lobster or
East Coast to where Bavaria,
clam chowder or something. Maybe
the East Coast of Antwerp, you can have a beer that finishes with foam bananas. You've got Silver Lake West Coast, sweet on the beak with hints of pine, citrus, and hops. Bold flavours of marmalade and zingy fruits leave a pleasantly bitter finish. Taurus Blood Orange Cider. Why would anybody need that? Taurus Cherry Cider they've had it on.
Oh, dying slightly less intense fire.
And here we go. Here's one for the Belgians, the Belgian beer proponents amongst us. Right. Brasserie du Noir Beer Triple Traditionnel, $3.50 for a 750ml bottle. Wheat and creamy banana notes with hints of mango and tropical flavours. A refreshing and very pleasant holiday feel beer. There we go. So that's what she's been trying to begin with. And she says, the quote is, you can imagine my excitement when I landed this dream gig. My family's over the moon. My partner is secretly hoping I share the samples, eager to put my taste buds and science brain to good use, helping Aldi shoppers discover their new favourite brews. In terms of my favourites, I'm a big fan of the traditional triple. And also she enjoyed the 0% Rheinbacher as an enjoyable non-alcoholic crowd pleaser. So the two beers she's picked out of that, quite frankly, horrid bunch are probably the best two of the pack. I would
Aye.
say. So things are looking promising in terms of recommendations. I look
Let's
forward
hope-
to
let's
getting
hope
her in
she's-
the wee
aye.
magazine.
Let's hope that she has some sort of influence on the beers that are going to be on the shelves.
Staying away
Because-
quite clearly from both Mystic and Silver Rivers, please. I don't
Yes.
think we need any
Yeah.
rivers.
No.
Thing is, I don't mind if the beer is like the price point in the beer and the breweries have to brew to that price point. But if it's like a decent beer, then fair enough. And if it's going to bring
and
more of a
let's-
scientific feel to
Let's
it,
go
then
back to the old adage. Let's go back to the old adage of who is it for? And I think we're now past the point of no return
big time.
when it comes to Aldi. Like you say, if I go into Aldi, there isn't a beer really, unless it's new and I've never tasted it before. I'll maybe pick it up. But if I'm in Aldi and I'm wanting to grab a few beers for that night or a Saturday night or whatever, it's 3 Rheinbacher Pilsners and 3 Rheinbacher Weiss beers for no thinking drinking. And, you know, there isn't a better beer on the Aldi shelves than those two for me.
Because it
and-
can be brewed to a decent level of quality. I would say an above average level of quality, but still be sold at 170, 161.
So it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well played there. Well
I
played.
must go and recharge my glass, Gavin.
You go and recharge. I'll do some honourable mentions. And one I meant to mention while I was doing the Overtone bit. Our friend James from Overtone has went on to pastures new. So all the best to James and your new venture, mates. Leaving Overtone. Had him on the podcast 3 times. At least 2. I feel like it's
At least
3.
right, and we've met him at every and spoken away quite enthusiastically with him, pestered the life out of him basically at all of the beer events over in Dunfermline, the Caledonian Craft Beer Merchant runs, the big Swally. We've enjoyed his company at each one of those. So, a big miss. I think he's one of become a pretty much a stalwart of the beer scene and through in Glasgow and obviously further afield, dealing with all the shops and pubs and various other places that are over the moon to stock Overtone's beer. Just quickly, while you're mentioning honourable mentions as well, I forgot to highlight it, and I was gonna, and it was actually a friend of pod, and I can't even remember the boy's name. Who's the guy that does all the running and has all the fancy glasses that look like knobs and stuff.
Oh,
You know the guy. You know the
Alex.
chap I'm talking about. Is it?
I don't.
Is it Andy?
No.
I don't know. Anyway, it kind of drew me towards Vault City's sour scale
Sour scale. Yep.
beers, and the carrot cake in particular at 8%, which is number 2 on the scale, if you like. At 8% was a hefty number to have in there on your scale from 1 to 5. It just looked incredible. What a great selection. And I'm not the biggest fan of sour beers by any stretch, but carrot cake, pineapple upside down, passion fruit lemon, and then the apple sour, which is obviously number 5 on the list, would be really cool. So if you get the chance to pick them up, I believe they're all over the place. I'm looking at the wee beer shops got them. There's plenty. We'll have all of those stocked, so you can either pick your favourite on the scale, or you can try the whole lot.
Try the whole lot.
Quite
Yeah,
a cool
spot on.
presentation case and everything as well.
Oh, it's cool as fuck. You're right. It is Andy. IP Adventures.
That's
Apologies,
it.
Andy. I was fucking scrambling to remember.
You got the right letter. And I should have looked at. I tried to find it again and couldn't find it. But the reason I wanted to point it out was that IP Adventures video going through all the beers is a pretty good insight into what they're like. He gives really good tasting notes and lets you see what it looks like in the glass and stuff as well. So super cool. Check out his video if you've not already.
Yeah, go and check it out. And last but not least, massive shout out to our friends at Stuart, who at the Scottish Beer Awards, or the Aldi Scottish Beer Awards 2024, walked away with the Scottish Brewery of the Year. So well done to the team at Stuart. well deserved. We
Yeah.
also
They also
won.
got Beer Destination, didn't they? I don't know if you'd mentioned that while I was down the stairs.
No, that was literally, you took the words right in my gob. So the
Sorry.
place is wicked. No, it's all right. Place is phenomenal. So hats off to the guys at Stuart. Well deserved.
Good to see the Pizza Wizard Ram
Yes.
gratefully mentioned and getting an award, because the pizzas are at least half of what makes the
easy.
beer destination the beer destination. They're incredible.
Place is wicked.
You could undertake some serious training there. Eating
Just
pizzas
for me,
for the
that
day.
time that we went, and that it was my first time there, and the place is just phenomenal.
It's crazy. So much so that podparents were there. They were through with a kind of last few runouts for the motorhome before it gets packed up for the season. We're through at Morton Hall because it's an easy venture into the town on the bus for those of us of bus pass age. Made a specific booked jaunt to Stuart on the Friday evening and enjoyed their time thoroughly, I believe, and had a wee check in on a certain West Coast IPA to make sure it was settling in quite nicely, and enjoyed the Nitro 80 got a solid 5 out of 5 as expected, but it got top marks.
Fun enough, all the C's should be ready to rock and roll any day soon. So looking forward to getting their hands on that. Have we all replenished?
We
Yes.
have.
Looks like it is. So it's a case of another ton of this.
Let's go around the table.
Thanks for that, Harvey.
Thanks, Harvey. Go on then, Gil.
So I went to the. I'm trying to remember the name yet. It'll come back to me. The beer shop in Portobello. I can say that now because it's the only beer shop in Portobello. Because sadly, Beer Zoo is now no longer anymore there anyway. So I went to the beer shop in Portobello, and probably one of, if not the finest selection of Oktoberfest beers I think I've seen. And at Portobello, so managed to pick up a fair few. This one is Spaten's Munich Oktoberfest beer. It's incredible. I just so clean, so smooth, so crisp. It's 6% or 5.9%, and you would never believe it for looking at it or tasting it. It's different class. How crispy that is! It's just unbelievable.
Nice.
I'm enjoying it a hell of a lot, and it's got everything you want. A bit of a special version of a lager. It's superb. Really
Sounds lovely, jubbly. Myself, Brewing Brothers, based here on the south coast of Ingerland. Sawtooth, a West Coast IPA, 5.5%. Huge amounts of resin, pine, stone fruits, and on the nose, balanced by a light malt character, and followed by a crisp bitter finish. We've got Chinook, Simcoe, and a Zaka in there. It's definitely a Westie. It smells like a Westie. You're getting that kind of malty, caramelliness, pininess that you'd expect. For beer fridge podcast aficionados, it's not as bitter as maybe you'd want it to be. However, it is a good solid Westie. And at 5.5%, good ABV price point range, and I wouldn't mind having it again, to be honest. And I wouldn't mind having a pint of it. Fun enough. I think it'd go down very, very well. So hats off to Brewing Brothers, a brew that I've only had a handful of beers from, and this so far has probably been the best one that I've had off them. So hats off to the guys at Brewing Brothers. Good Westie. Well done. Mr. Muir, you're on mute. Still on mute.
Yes, I'm muted. Sorry about that. I have cracked open one of the cans from our Stannery box that I think we all got this month from Bruiser. We obviously had them on a few weeks back, and we a bit of a mixed bag really this time. We had a couple of issues with one or two of the lagers that didn't taste as we would expect. Not that they were bad lagers; they tasted a bit off. So maybe something of a bit concern there. But I've opened up one that we had when Stanley were on the podcast, and it's their Lupo Juice, 5.4% DDH IPA, Citra Mosaic, Strata, Azaka, and it's just fucking party time, really. For a 5.5% beer, it's just, it drinks like a double. It's
Is it
just
in the rubber dinghy rapids in your mouth? Is that
oh,
what
it is, mate. It is. This, if nothing else, this is what they drink in the Congo, and it's just silky smooth, packs every kind of punch that you would want it to pack. And I mean, we spoke about the potential death of the pint, but see if you could rock up to a tap room and get a pint of this on keg. Oh, that would just vanish in an embarrassingly short space of time. You'd be need to. I mean, that was one thing I never mentioned on that article. That was the notion that if you wanted to, you could make a pint last for a couple of hours.
Where?
This is what. Aye, exactly. This, the condensation wouldn't even reach the bottom of the glass. On this
Maybe
beer,
if you walked into what you thought was the bathroom in your local pub and ended up on a desert island, you might be able to keep make your pint last for a couple of hours because it's the only one
because then
you've
it'd
got.
be warm. I'd rather drink a cold beer and then die of thirst than fucking ration the beer and drink warm beer.
Fair point. We could do a desert. That's a future segment. No being stolen for any other element that might have been on the radio for a million years is desert island pints. One of the scores must be how long could you make it last on a beach?
Yeah, pretty much every single segment on this podcast has been stolen off somebody else. Fuck it. It's funny you say that. It's like all the I found with the Stanley box, all the IPAs and anything other than the lager has been really good than what we expected. There's obviously something off of the lagers. We've messaged the guys. There's been a couple of comments on the Bruiser Facebook group, and I think the guys have recognised there's just a knocks of it. There's been something happened. It's been out of their control, and sadly, they just know what they expect. So if you have the Stanley box and you drink the lagers, just by all means don't take it as that's what the brewery is, what you're going to expect from the brewery. They make some unreal beers.
And I was so fucking annoyed that Mark missed the Stanley episode. The beers got sent to me. The Stanley beers got sent to the Stanley beers got sent to me, and I dished them out, but Mark wasn't available, so I had held on to them, and by the time it came to pass the beers on to Mark, only one of them.
There were no beers to be passed.
The beer fairy went in and drank them all out the fridge. So the first after us rightly raving about the beers, because all the beers that we had when they were on the podcast were amazing, and we don't just blow sunshine up the arse of the guests because they've sent beer to us, But the first beer that Mark had from Stannery was the lager. That's the first beer that he lifted out the fridge, and he was like, "Oh, I'm going to have to put this in the sink because it's And I was like, "Oh fuck it, that's just typical." The great Mona. That's the first one that he opens.
Le Grand Mon.
Aye.
That's exactly
I'm delighted. I'm delighted to say that the beers. I went straight to the fridge and opened that beer when he sent that message, and mine was the same. And it's not necessarily their fault. It's not the fact that they brewed a shit lager. It's just there's obviously something went wrong with this batch, and it can happen to the best breweries. The beer can taste fine when it goes into the can, and then suddenly it doesn't. So
science happens. I've literally my next beer in a second when I open it's going to be the Junk Food Weekend New England IPA. That's next on my agenda to have this evening. Right, good stuff. As we mentioned at the start, we're going to have a preview of the festival that the guys are going to this weekend in Edinburgh, and that just so happens to be the Gravity Festival, brought to you by Barney's. We missed it last year because of a good friend House Rice Harry's wedding, and it
Selfish
was a
cunt.
fucking fantastic time.
And despicable.
Aye, horrendous timing. However, we're back at it this year. The guys are going, and the lineup is tremendous. We could go through everything, but that would mean the podcast would probably go for another hour, which is
That's fine.
Well, just give us the quick fire list, Gav. You've got the list of breweries. Just go through them. And
I'll tell you what ones I'm looking forward to. There's probably
Well, I was
15
gonna ask
of
you- I
them
was
I'm
gonna-
looking forward to, Gavin. So
well. That my first question with you guys, because you guys are going, was going to be who are you looking forward to seeing first of all, before we do the whole list. If you have one,
can I give you two?
Oh, good now.
I'll give you two of the best, and they both begin with T. Talking Tides, the brewery we've had on the podcast, obviously.
Yep.
A great area of the country as well, and make excellent beer. And I'm really looking forward to trying them. And because I've had a beer from them tonight, I'm 100%. We've spoken about them ad nauseum. I think everybody who's ever listened to a podcast episode for 2024 so far knows that we're all about Tartarus. So 100%, I'm there with bells on. At the expense of some other, there's a big brewery in there that probably Herr Muir will pick it. I'm hoping anyway he'll pick that out the list because it's an absolute stinker on the list. But
before
Tartarus
you
and Talking Tides.
came on, was my two breweries were Tartarus and Dare. Just because Tank Fresh Dare, it's probably in the top 5 breweries in the UK. If you were to say Tank Fresh, what other breweries would you pass Dare to get to? Is it Verdant? Is it Beak? But there's not many. So,
well, I'll give you a couple of. Well, there's a few beers we know are going to be there, which are going to be absolute standouts. One is, of course, from Barney's, who are the host brewery of the festival, and it is a collaboration with MF Coffee Project, which is based in the summer halls where the festival is going to be, and it's a hazelnut affogato imperial pastry stout. That sounds absolutely
with bells
fucking phenomenal. And that's a Kinder Bueno on a glass.
That gets better with every word.
Aye.
Hazelnut, affogato, pastry, stout. Ooh.
Get in my belly. Oh, funny thing I want to mention as well. Funny enough, you mentioned Talking Tides. I don't know what beer they're bringing. It's a fucking the one time Delk's not here. They're actually doing a comedy night on the 1st of October. And you know the comedian Reginald D. Hunter?
Yes.
Excellent comedian. Been to see him 2 or 3 times.
He's playing at Talking Tides tap room on the 1st of October.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
I was like, fuck, that's cool shit. If
Very
you're wondering where they are, they're in Redcar. So if you're around on the 1st of October, go and see that.
There's no many reasons to go to Redcar, but that's probably a good one.
Aye, and Reginald is funny as fuck. Another beer that's going to be at the Gravity Festival from Closets, their beer called Goat. It's a malty double bock lager. The malty bit, I don't know what that is. That confuses me slightly.
Aye, this is what we, again before the back shift turned up. We Gavin and I spoke about this, and we were debating where's the need to classify a double bock as malty. I mean, what makes a malty double bock?
Malty.
It's
This
a description for the novice. It's a description for the novice.
But what we've now encountered, Scott, is that in his long-term absence, Gavin has become French. So it's the Normandy. It was the Normandy twang in his voice. That kind of Brest crossed with Glasgow as I've mistook multi for malty. So I was a bit.
So it's multi with an A as opposed to multi with an A.
Malty.
So it's a multi bock. So
Multi.
it's maybe it's got extra goat in it, I reckon.
Yeah, I knew that. But there's only going to be one keg available at the festival, so
Yeah,
get
only
in
one
there.
keg going.
So
you've got
given
to
that we're going to the third session, we've got zero chance of getting any of that. beer.
no, surely they'll have kept it back in the closet for us. That would be good.
See you done.
That's a Saturday beer. That's a Saturday beer if ever I've heard one. For surely to goodness. I'm also looking to the collab beer for the festival that Barney's have got going.
Yes.
The session NEPA, that might be a good first inroad. That might be a good starter to get straight in at the 4.7% New England.
That's a
Perfectly
beer.
sessionable.
That's a
I
beer
imagine it'll be
to,
super juicy.
indeed, that is a beer to get as soon as you walk in the door and drink whilst wandering around looking to see what other beers were on offer.
Do that first pass. Obviously, it's an all-in, or what is it, all-included? Is that what they're calling it?
Indeed, yes.
All-included beer festival, so it's 100ml pours, but you can have, obviously, within reason and responsibly, work your way around the offerings there. Some great food on offer as well. I need to mention Mellis. I mean, the cheese, Mellis, if you've ever taken a wander down that street just before you get to the grass market in Edinburgh,
Coburn
and
Street.
you've got a whiff. No, it's is it Victoria? I can't remember.
I thought it was Coburn
Edinburgh
Street.
geography's no, Coburn Street's the one that smells fusty, no the one that smells like good cheese.
Okay.
The just before you head down into the grass market, Mellis, the cheesemonger, it's incredible. It has just, and what I've seen in the pictures of the cheese boards that they'll have on offer, it's an automatic. It's an absolute no-brainer.
What you're saying is we're going to have nightmares on Saturday night.
Yeah,
Because
I'm all right with
we're
that.
going to eat, we're waiting cheese.
I think that's fine, along with a
Beer
couple of
and
tacos. The taco offerings is tip top, and you've also got, I don't know if it's also or they are the pick of the pit, but if you've ever kind of in its previous iteration, and I know they're working on a new location at the moment, the Pit Market is an absolute go-to destination for kind of street food style stuff, and I know they're working on a permanent location. So check out their Instagram and stuff, but they were an absolute stalwart when they were open. And they had some of the best street food in Edinburgh, bar none. Before any of your nonsense at the down at the cinema, down at the Omni Centre and all that stuff, the Pit Market were there and they were the original. So the food that will be on offer will be incredible. And as a parting shot on what to look like, my immediate things to look forward to at Gravity is that it's dog friendly. So
Indeed.
There's dogs abound.
You two will be spewing their dogs.
100%.
I might even take my dog with me.
Great idea. And while you're at it, two breweries to turn your ear to, gentlemen, which will be at the Gravity Festival. That I have picked it, even though I'm not going, it would be Tempest, 100%.
I'll try them for you.
Well, see.
But hold your horses. I'm not saying this beer is going to be there. I'm only taking this from beers that they have recently released, and that would be a good little look to see. And fingers crossed they're there. A new beer from Tempest is Simcoe Mode, which is a 6.5% single hop beer in collaboration with Yakima Chief. It's got a Dynaboost. It's had an added Dynaboost at the Whirlpool. Don't know what that means.
What is that? Is that for cars?
Maybe. It's also
a Dynaboost.
A Hyper Boost as well,
Dynaco.
Direct to the fermenter, and it's had an added T90.
Why does that bring about images of Vin Diesel turning the nos on and he's in Fast and the Furious?
I just hope
Dynaboost and a Hyper Boost.
Aye. But a single hop beers are like really interesting, and especially I think it's more so because it's a collaboration with Yakima Chief, so should be a decent single hop beer. So if that's it, I would try that. Another brewery,
100%.
And again, this beer is not confirmed to be there, but Drop Project, and they might be bringing a West Coast Pils. No, sadly not. A West Coast Pils, 4.8%. It's called Ridge. Collaboration with a brewery called Seagrove Public in Denmark.
Is that brewed just to make Mark Dixon extremely angry?
Yes, correct.
West Coast Pils.
That's the collaboration he does not need.
But it's because of that though as well. Like you say West Coast, then you got your ears like, can I pair a couple wee bit? And you go pills. You go, oh, like, how does that work?
It's 100% a conversational beer, isn't it? It's a
Oh, totally. Yeah,
talk about beer.
yeah,
So
it's the
that's-
deep fried Mars bar of beers.
Aye. Can I chuck in a third? I know we were doing two each, but
No,
just only purely because they were an Edinburgh stalwart for such a long period of time. Not from Edinburgh, but an Edinburgh stalwart in terms of their tap room. And it was a great space, and such a shame that it disappeared. 6 Degrees North making an appearance at
Yes.
Gravity is a
Yeah.
great. It's great news to have them back in the capital, because their
Fabulous.
tap room was incredible for a
It
long,
was a
long
destination. It was for the longest time, and they had some phenomenal beers on there. Not only guest beers, but their own beers. And you know, to see what their offerings have been to us, it's reduced us to supermarkets. You know, unless you go to direct to source, of course. But the supermarket beers that they've been offering have been, you know, okay at best. So
I'm looking forward to see what they bring.
But you know, I have to say, I feel bad that I kind of hummed and hawed when you mentioned Tempest. You know how much we love the beers that they offer, and you know, I had a can of Long White Cloud last weekend and went down an absolute storm. But I just think probably the last 3 festivals that I've been to, where Tempest have been on show, they've just kind of just missed the mark, and it's just been mediocre beer that I can get in a supermarket type vibe. So let's hope that the beer that they're bringing is something a bit different, something a bit special, that's going to get people back through the door and excited about Tempest again. Because you know, if you're going by what you can get in supermarkets, it's kind of a bit.
Speaking of the shite end in the middle of the road,
the back,
who's appeared? Who's this?
the back shift.
With his high vis vest on.
The talent has arrived. The talent has arrived,
Scarlet
boys.
Pimpernel.
Don't worry. Don't worry.
Hi, by the way.
Worry not. Fear
Fucking-
not. Fear not, dear guests.
Fear,
Just
fear
give-
not. The quality will be now significantly higher that the talent has arrived.
Excellent work.
Right.
It's good to see you
It's very nice to see you fuckers too.
in the virtual flesh.
It feels like it's been months, to be honest. And
Been too long. I don't think we should take this long off again.
No, I need that.
You know.
I feel like I practice as well. Like stumbling.
For
around,
gravity
all that
and-
nonsense.
oh, totally. I gathered when I got Callum's Tempest thoughts there. So, and I 100% agree, to be completely honest.
But before you jumped in, I was mentioning there's a beer that's potentially going to be there, which is a new one from them, a collaboration with Yakima Chiefs. It's a single hop Simcoe beer. So that, like, if that's there, that would be an interesting beer. Especially with it, like I said, being a collaboration with Yakima Chief, they don't fuck about. So you'd expect that to be half decent at least.
I
And
would
at 6.5%, like, it's no fucking.
no.
It's no.
It's, like you say, it's more in the realms of like exactly what Callum said. It's more in the realms of what you would expect from Tempest, what we would expect. You know, out with the core range.
Yeah.
we've grew up with Tempest throwing shit at the wall,
Yeah.
and having them come up with, you know, and it's predominantly dark beers that they really throw shit at the wall. But the IPAs, the cold IPA, didn't they? They had the big Nipa a few years back. Obviously, Long White Cloud is not the beer it used to be. So I totally agree with what you said, Cal, to be fair.
But now that you've arrived, Mark, just shortly before you did arrive, we discussed a beer that I raised at the point that this beer was brewed specifically to piss you off.
Oh, yeah.
And so Gav can talk about that beer again,
Yeah,
just very quickly.
Aye, very quickly, because you've just turned up. I highlighted a couple of breweries that I would be going to at the Gravity and checking them out. I'm not saying this beer's going to be there. I'm just going off recent beer releases, etc. So Drop Project are going to be there. They have just released a beer called Ridge, which is a West Coast Pils at 4.8%, in collaboration with a brewery called Seagrove Public, who are based in Denmark.
In case, that's not feedback that you're getting on your earphones, dear listener. That is the sound of Mark's eyes rolling.
And rolling.
Okay.
And rolling.
it's
That is the
it's
long
probably
exhale of a sigh.
it's probably my two favourite styles of beer, other than like two of the top three styles of beer that I would want to drink right now. But putting them together is like I would be happy to be proven wrong. Put it that way. However, it doesn't we have never ever been blown away by anybody that has like double barreled West and Pale or Pilsner and whatever else. Like when you put these two things together and you try and
A mango pilsner, it just smacks. It smacks of fucking. It just smacks of a beer that they've tried to make and it's no quite turned out the way they were expecting. So just call it something funky and
I think that's the marketing team and the brewers have been like, you know what, we really need to try and create a wee niche for ourselves here. What's two really cool styles? Right, we've got a West Coast IPA. All right, that's cool. And Pilsners, they're becoming quite popular too. We've got all the Italian Pilsners and everybody's making an attempt at them. That's cool. Why don't we just throw them? Oh, that's a great idea. And then fucking them throwing a recipe. Aye. Welcome back, Mark. You've fucking been on the podcast all of 30 seconds, and
we just needed to fill that last 15 minutes of the podcast, Mark. So we'll just let you wind you up and let you go.
But let's be honest, like it is because you walk into a bottle shop, you're going to pick that shit up, aren't you? Like because it's two styles. Like I'm picking it up because it's two styles that I love, but there's a high chance that it's going to be utter dog shit. Like it's just
that's where you and I are different. Like if it would catch my eye in as much that I would look at it on the shelf. But if I'm at a festival where my drink's already paid for, a la Gravity on Saturday, I'm quite happy to let them fill me up with that. And if it's dog shit, I'll pour it down the sink. But I'm no brave enough to spend my hard-earned pound sterling on that shit.
But that's too.
40ml can.
Those are styles of beer I want to drink, though. That's probably why. Like,
I want to eat chocolate and chips, but I didn't want to melt my Barry Dairy Milk or my fucking chippy.
Well,
now that
it's like the fucking heathens that dip their chicken nuggets in their fucking McFlurry at McDonald's.
Now that Delk's in the room. Now the MD's in the room, and it seems like everyone has replenished their glass. It seems like we're on for another round of.
Let's go around the table.
cheers, Harvey.
Cheers, Harvey. That's going to be the new thing.
That's going to be the episode title.
Harvey.
Cheers, Harvey.
Can we get a Harvey recording of yes? Are you sure that's the case? And just leave it with. Could we just leave a random? What do you think, ex West Coast IPA, or what about this? What about this West Coast Pils? And Mark could have a conversation for about 3 years now. Is that what you really think?
The new all the seas. Go on then, Delk. You're fresh in the room. We've been off for a couple of weeks, 3-4 weeks.
Fresh in the glass.
Well, I've got to admit, I was debating what to pick, and I know I'm going to take a slagging on it anyway because there was two ways I could go.
Deliciously on brand here, is he?
Christ, don't you dare do this.
I'm 100% did it. But I could have picked my Bruiser Box brewery this month.
Oh, here we go.
But the beers was fucking... I'm 0-2 in terms of pouring them.
Beers.
Well, the beers are in the box, so they have to be drank.
We've spoken about Stannery and called them out on their tour beers, and we mentioned the ones that you had said. So yeah, we've covered that.
Good. Well, I'm on brand because it is Oktoberfest, and for me, if there's 3 beers you should be drinking this time of year, and it's
Them are lager.
lager and wheat beer, mate. It's just and a Dunkel probably. Realistically, any combination of those 3. So I'm on High Device wheat beer, 5.2%, and it's just easy.
Me, I'm not gonna lie.
Easy drinking.
I thought you were going somewhere else with that.
What brewery brews that, Mark?
It's a brewery based in Glasgow, predominantly and brew only to the German purity law. They're called West Brewery, and I would highly recommend them.
Here with me thinking
Especially-
of going with this that premium red lager thing.
I was debating the Munich Red. The Scotland's voted
for.
the best lager in Scotland.
They paid for
Um,
awards.
Yeah, it is actually a bloody good beer.
That
I'm
is
not-
good.
not
That-
an apologist.
we-
I'm not an apologist by any stretch,
No.
but having heard it live as it was performed in the place where it's made, after having trekked thousands of miles to get there, the High Street Station.
To be
We've
fair,
had-
if you walk across the Sahara, you know, anything's got to taste good. So
Well, it
maybe
was
just
like walking
dial
through
back
looking
and,
Fallout
Yeah.
to get there, get to High Street Station and turning left was.
I
was-
should
was
have
despicable.
went Munich Red for that exact reason, but
That's
that
what I
reason,
thought you were
but-
going.
ID Vice is excellent. It's
Yeah.
I don't think you can go past it. It's super clean, super crisp. The only kind of premium beyond that, I think, would be the proper an Oktoberfest kind of German wheat beer.
how was your? Sorry, I'll ask this question after we go around the table. But
No, I've got like
Tell-
fucking segments set up.
we've got the segment going, so we've already diverted. For it. So let's go
Tangent cast.
tangent cast. Right, what's
Less time. I've not got enough buttons for that.
tangent cast? Honestly, if we were doing that, there would be a one of these segue things in every fucking 30 seconds.
3
here.
minutes.
I
Harvey
just
would
got
be
a
talking
button
for
that
the whole
says tangent.
podcast, which would be good. Callum, what have you moved to?
I've not moved to anything. I'm still on Lupo
Ah,
juice.
for goodness sake, an
No.
absolute zoomer.
No.
No, come on. I started
I've-
with a 10.5% Belgian quad, so I'm kind of going to
Right.
take it a bit.
I
Going to
think-
pace myself.
I think that sounds that's
That
an
sounds like
excuse.
somebody who needs a schooner and no a pint. Should be-
Exactly. I get yourself into schooners.
Mm.
Can I
I'll
tell
jump
you
in
what I'm
then.
having? Oh, you jump
I'll go
in.
then.
You jump.
Okay,
No,
okay,
no,
I'll-
you
I'll
go,
go, I'll go,
all guns
I'll go,
blazing
I'll go,
into your
I'll go.
stannery because I'm also stanneried and I'll tell you what
Okay,
I've got
Roger
afterwards.
Dodger. Stanley Brewing and the Junk Food Weekend New England IPA, 6.5%. Like I said on the unboxing video, very Golden Arches-esque fucking labelling there.
Yeah,
And
right.
it's-
It's very Big Mac, isn't it?
100%. It is really good, really good. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. It's giving you everything you want from a New England IPA in terms of those kind of those bingo words, juice bomb, etc., etc. If I'm comparing that to Lupo Juice, I'd have Lupo Juice, but that's me just saying. That's me just like splitting hairs. I think Lupo Juice is a bit better.
That's the one you need to go for, Mark, and
And put it in the fridge.
it'll restore all your faith in the brewery.
But like I'm saying that, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with that beer. It's a really good beer. I just think Lupo Juice is a step up and a bit better, which is weird when it's not weird because the Lupo Juice is 5.4 and this is
5.4.
6.5.
6.5.
So
Mhm.
it goes back to that thing that we said before where they do really good like lower ABV beers, like double dry hop stuff at like 4-5-ish%.
It just goes to
fucking
that, and
rammed.
I say that when they were on the podcast, it just goes to show what can be achieved at 5.5%.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, in terms of body and flavour and you know the presence of the beer, it's incredible.
And that's just we've got what we got on it? Strata, and I can't read it quick enough. Strata. So it's really good beer, but for me, I think Lupo Juice is better. Which Lupo Juice being a one-off special beer, birthday beer, kind of makes sense. Gilroy.
Ice baby.
Oh, I never got
by
that one.
Stanley.
Cunt, you bastard.
Cold IPA, 5.2% from their anomalies range.
I don't think I got that either. You're
I
a
never
prick.
got that. I'm fucking raging, by the way.
It is.
No, I definitely didn't get that, bastard.
That's the
In the
new
fl-
one.
in the
that was
flesh.
on the podcast. That was the fucking new one when he mentioned it. You
Right.
prick.
Incredibly. Wait till
Oh,
you get
come on,
the.
let's fucking have it right. That's 2 months in a row. We both had Tartarus last month, and he got the double IPA and I didn't. And he's got the fucking cold IPA for standard of this month.
You've been pumped.
Who are you sucking off at fucking Bruiser? You got Ollie on a fucking lap dance or something?
Everybody. Everybody and anybody that it takes to achieve great beer. That's how dedicated I am for you guys, dear listener.
Ken, what, that's just made me so angry that I've finished my beer. I'm going to have to go and get another one.
So this is a. I thought that when I opened it, I was like, I don't think I've seen this in many other people's piles. I'll just take that straight out. It's a 5.2% cold IPA. The hop bill in this is incredible. It's so crisp, so clean, so crushable. It's Hallertau Blanc, Nelson and Nectaron.
Take my money.
Oh,
Take my money.
It's unbelievable. It's got all
look at that.
all the vibes you need. Lovely
Look at
lacing
that.
in the glass. It looks absolutely superb. That
It's
lovely
darker than
amber
I was
colour.
expecting it to be.
It's a kind of deeper colour than I expected as well, but it's oh so good. No maltiness, but it's just a kind of super clean, super crispy, and then got the heft, and it's a decent whack of bitterness on the back end to make it super moreish.
I'm going to have a look.
Doing everything that it needs to do. It's a very good beer.
I'm going to have
Really
to dig out
impressed.
the box, mate, because my box is. I've got Stannery because I didn't think I picked Stannery this month, and I was like, right, I'll just lift 4 out in the fridge. The other 4 just got fucked in the garage. So I'm hoping. I'm just going to have to pray that that's in the garage.
So I'd seen on Facebook, so like the issues with the lager, right? So it wasn't just us. There was a couple of folk on the Facebook group said the exact same thing. And fair play to the guys at Stanley, they sorted folk out and they sent them like replacements, etc. And I seen the day.
I'll
Like,
have another
one of the-
18. I'll have another 18 of these, please.
Aye. I seen somebody got that and a couple other ones, and I seen that. I was like, "You bastard! That's like the brand new beer that they mentioned in the podcast that was like getting canned the week after we recorded with them." And I'm fucking well, Joe. You got that
It's super
proper
duper.
FOMO.
It is excellent. It's if I couldn't see it on the. Obviously, there isn't much on their online store. I don't think at the moment,
No.
beers wise, and it's pretty merch heavy.
I've got a funny feeling they might.
We
be
sold them it.
replenishing- No, it's not just that. I think with the issue with the lagers, I think they're sorting people out, which is fair play to the brewery.
It's good. It's good that they're doing that, and they've answered it. That's why you do things like that, and that's why it's an art form, not a science, to an extent. And yes, you're looking for, if you get stuff on there, you're expecting a certain level of quality, and this, that, and the next thing. But they front it. I'm sure they'll front it. I'm absolutely positive that based on your conversation with them and having listened to it, they'll absolutely front that up and they'll sort it, and their next lagers will knock it out of the park.
Oh, no question about it. All the other beers I've had off them have been fantastic. That first time round we had them on, they were phenomenal. Lupo juice was that good. The first time round I put it on my shelf. The empty cans there. Thoroughly enjoyed.
We saw your excitement in your YouTube video. Just you mentioned, obviously the production the production of content over on the YouTube space is going to hopefully improve in terms of the bits in between the actual fucking content that we provide, which is obviously the same snafus that all the 4As give you on a weekly basis. But your video opening your box was quite good, I thought.
Yeah,
and I have to give you props, and I don't often give you them, Mr. Baxter, but you deserve props for your video. I thought it was pretty awesome.
In fairness,
Your enthusiasm had me enthused thoroughly for the box.
That was me missing the podcast, to be fair, more than anything. I was like, I've not spoke about beer in 3 weeks. Like,
No, it was good.
fucking, I'll speak to
The break
camera
did you the
and-
good. You were enthused and vibrant and walked us through the box pretty smartly. So I thought it was really good.
Right, let's get to the most important thing of this whole podcast is there's one segment that we're going to get to here that people listening to the podcast
Bringing back
watching-
accents by Mark.
No, not yet. I wish.
Oh, right,
Fucking
okay.
wish. Literally wish. And
Give me a couple of weeks. I'll be
Episode if I've seen it.
a couple of
And,
weeks. I'll be fluent.
it's not necessarily a new thing to the podcast. We have done it before, but like I said, like Scott says, we're amplifying the production, etc., and we're pushing it. And this segment needs a sponsor. It currently has no sponsor. If you watch the YouTube, you'll see it says sponsored by no one. And we're going to push to change this within the next 6 months. But let's get to one of the final segments of this week's podcast in our brewery of
Brewery of the week.
Thanks, Harv.
as you can tell. Apparently that's Stephen Hawkins. I
Stephen.
have no idea.
Oh, Steve.
Stephen.
Big Steve.
Oh, ain't he
Loved a
actually
beer.
good?
Notedly loved a beer.
No,
Loved some.
Indeed.
nah, that's
Just
Carvey.
before I realised that I realised that I'm going to fuck everything up because you've just played that video. But I couldn't find a place to interject without being a prick. But I've opened a new beer.
And you've managed it again.
Yeah, indeed. So I'm happy to be a prick and interject. This is a beer that Mark knows well.
Fuck's my beer.
I don't know if anybody else seen on social media that Snickers is being temporarily rebranded as Marathon.
Again.
And, let's just stress that nothing inside the packet's going to change. It's just going to appeal to these old cunts that can remember when Snickers was Marathon. But this beer harks back to another chocolate bar of old, which I have to say I didn't particularly enjoy. But this is Cold Town with Topic Thunder,
Nice.
Oh.
which is their 7% nutty chocolate stout. I have to say it's kind of dead in the glass, but that doesn't detract at all from. I mean, it's a stout, so it doesn't. It's not as a few thing, and it's got a great body, 7% and lactose, so it's nice and sweet, thick, creamy, and the nuts are there, and it's caramel, and that's lovely. Really nice.
This was totally decisive when we spoke to Chris, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Who else had it?
And this is the first time I've had it.
Because I might have drank it.
You
Wasn't
did
me.
because it's and I said it's far too sweet for me, like for a 440 can. But everything that you would expect from the Topic is in the glass. If you know what I mean, it is incredibly on point.
I think I have to say, if I'd had this first, I would agree with you on the sweet. It's really sweet. But I've had a 10.5% Belgian quad, and then I've had a 5.5%.
Did you have a 10.5% Belgian quad? I don't know if
Okay.
I would have guessed that.
Juice bomb from Stannery? So this is just what the doctor ordered. So you can tell by the slight slurring in my voice that I've not had that much to drink in the last few weeks. So I'm like that meme, that gif, the baby in the snow.
That's funny.
10%.
Anyway, I've just seen that. So yes, we will do the new
Brewery of the week, sponsored
new
by no one.
segment that's sponsored by no one. I'm going to roll the credit again, mind you, because why the no? I took all that time to fucking make it.
Brewery of the week.
Super glad you got your guitar out for that, by the way. Well done.
Here, by the way,
Indeed.
I'm like
take
loving
wonder.
the tune, like
Aye, very good.
usually I'm going for like hip hop and like drum and bass shit. I'm like, nah, I'm
enjoying
like,
this.
we're-
I'm enjoying this.
We're using the guitars, right? So what's going to happen here? Brewery of the week is going to be selected by one of us instead of one of us giving one each. I'm going to go around the sort of the screen that I'm looking at is me top left, and I've got Mark to my right, and then it's Gilroy and Callum. Well, it's going to be 1,
got
2,
a-
3, and what are you buttoning for now?
I'm just going to say I've got a spinny wheel app that I could do a.
He's all set. He's all set. Names and everything.
Sorry.
Aye, you'd think I'd know that. So I've just done it, and MD,
Who was it that did the mini? Who was it that did the spinny wheel TV show? What was that?
what? The Spinning Wheel TV
What was the
show?
spinny wheel game show? Remember the game show with the spinny wheel? What
Wheel
was
of
it
Fortune.
called?
Wheel of Fortune.
That was it. Thank you.
Yeah, Wheel of Fortune.
Who did it?
and-
Who hosted Wheel of Fortune back in the day?
John Leslie.
John.
Oh, where's John Leslie?
Fucking hell, John Leslie.
And that's how the podcast got cancelled. John Leslie.
Aye.
All I'm doing is stating fact.
No, I know.
It's not as if I'm saying
John Leslie.
Aaron Hernandez should have another chance.
Can't be any worse than that.
That was I actually just a bit lost. I just a bit lost
Aye.
beer when I was watching that. Sorry, that was fucking brilliant.
Unbelievable.
That's a
Unbelievable.
funny
Okay,
video.
Did you spin the wheel? Did MD win?
Yes,
Did they?
I did. Winner/loser, depending on what we look at it.
Here we
Who's
go.
deciding our
Sales pitch for West. Here we
brewery
go.
of the week is our late shift in the form of MD.
Oh, fuck off.
So I have to pick a brewery of the week.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, brewery of the week.
Can I be?
Okay, it's great. Probably a relatively easy one for me because I've drank quite a bit of stuff, but to be slightly, I'm going to say on brand and then off brand. My brewery of the week is St. Mars of the Desert.
Oh,
Fucking Christ.
I saw a wee can sneak its way in there. I could tell that font a mile away when you posted the picture of your original haul that you managed to snafu from beer merchants without telling any bugger, like the selfish prick.
It was against the grain, Albin. It was against the grain.
Was it against the grain, was it?
It was.
Right in.
Yeah. Sam was an absolute lad. I messaged him and said, "Can you hold me a couple of tins of the Allagash stuff?" And he was like, "Yeah." So I was like, "I need to go in and grab." And obviously, when you go in, you can't come out with 2 cans, so you've kind of got to dive in. So the reason I went with St. Mars of the Desert for the first brewery of the week that we've done is I picked up the Lasker Pils, the Czech Pils, 4.4%, and it hit the glass, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" It was so dark, like in comparison to what like I'm thinking Czech Pils, I'm thinking golden, I'm thinking super head retention. I mean, I felt like it was slightly undercarbed when it hit the glass. It was a dark, I'm not going to say amber color, but it definitely was on its way to that. And then I tasted it, and it like blew my fucking socks off of just quality and flavor. It was super crispy. It was backbone with tons of malt and all that caramel biscuitiness, and it totally played away from a proper Czech Pilsner, other than the dryness and the Moorishness, goodness, that you would want. So I was like, I was slightly disappointed in terms of when it hit the glass and all the rest of it, because it wasn't what in my head I would expect a Czech Pils to be, but the quality of the beer in there was like unbelievable. So for me, it's one that obviously it's a Sheffield brewery that's brewing, Czech style beer, or this one's obviously a Czech style beer, and it's just worth people going and checking it out. And it's a brewery that not everybody would probably have either heard of or maybe pick up if you're in a bottle shop, but it's one for sure that I would highly recommend.
Reminders of the name.
St. Mars of the Desert.
The brewery name is St. Mars of the Desert.
That is your first brewery of the week, sponsored by no one. So go and check them out. That last bit there should not last long, FYI. Go and check them out. St. Mars of the Desert. The stuff is ridiculous, to be honest. So by all means, go and see if you can grab some of their beers. Right, I have got nothing left written on my sheet. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? I've got a funny feeling for our Patreon members. This recording might go a little bit longer.
That's absolutely fine. Very quickly, go to Gravity if you're going.
Oh, yeah.
Get a ticket if you've not got a ticket. Go and sign up for the beer talks and tastings and things like that. There's loads of verses and things like that as well. Top picks for me, just very, very quickly. We have looking forward to Timothy Taylor versus Timmermans. You're lambics and you're getting English style ales in there, which is that's a versus if ever I've seen one. You've got a Barney's beer showcase. We've been through some of the Barney's beers already. Jump onto Barney's Instagram page, watch a hilarious and very insightful video going through the beers that are going to be on offer with brewery workings in the background in the window. You've got Dea versus Full Circle. We never even mentioned Full Circle, and that's a clash of behemoth and one that's not far behind. You've got a Tartarus and Tempest session as well on the Friday evening. Saturday during the day, Cal and I hopefully are going to enjoy a 2x2. There's a 2x2 session on, and there's also an Ascension Cider versus Crossover Blendery, which is your kind of obviously getting into blended style, kind of wild ales type stuff, versus an adult, like not your 3 litre bottle version of cidery. You can tell that because it's got a Y at the end of cider.
Frosty Jack's free zone.
Correct, absolutely. The antithesis of Frosty Jack. And then you've got, as I say, on the Saturday evening, if you make it that far, you've got Timmermans and Timothy Taylor, and you've also got a 6 Degrees North, which we already called it. It's great to see them back in the capital. So they'll round off your Saturday evening in terms of talks and tastings.
Indeed. gravitybeerfestival.co.uk. Gravity Beer Festival is taking place on the 27th and 28th of September in the
Summer Hall
in Edinburgh. A fantastic weekend of beer, cider, and good vibes. Go and check it out if you've not already grabbed your tickets. Go to their social media pages as well. Go and check them out. Like, follow, and share, same as Barney's as well. If you haven't already, go and search the Beer Fridge podcast. Like, follow, and share wherever you listen to this episode. And if you're watching as well, like, follow, and share. Give us a 5-star rating. Hit the ding-a-ling-a-ling as well. You can show your official support. We go to patreon.com/Beer Fridge podcast, where you'll get this episode first, and you'll get the extended, unedited version also. Patreon.com/Beer Fridge podcast. And myself, Gavin, and the boys. Until next time, cheery Bob.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.